Well, guys, we're back at it again. We're going to be doing another mock draft because we're on quarantine. We got nothing better to do. All the housework is done. I'm with my man, Kenneth. I'm with Mr. CJ. And I'm with Mr. Cody Stutz.
Yes, indeed. I got another week, so I'm glad that there was enough positive reviews that they brought me back here. That's good. I like
Man,
that.
so if you guys don't know, me and Cody, we did a video talking about just the Texans. That video has over 600 views. It has a bunch of watch time. I got a couple subscribers off it. You know, Cody's definitely going to be back if he wants to. But like I said, guys, we're going to be going through a mock draft, and it's going to be something special. Each one of us will be going through our own mock draft rounds 2 through 5 because let's be honest, the 3 7th round picks probably won't be on this team and probably might be used for, trading. So we're gonna start off with Mr. Cody Stutz, your mock draft from rounds 2 to round 7. I mean 5 now.
All right, so I this is such a weird draft because when I look at it through like a lens with like the Texans, and I think about what they might want, what they might need. I just don't see a lot of players at the position they might want or need pop up where they're picking, literally at both spots. I play around with this, and I play with the mock draft machines, or I look at the draft rankings and the ratings and other teams, needs and things like that, and I see so many. Like, to me, it's just driven into my head. It's edge or wide receiver, edge or wide receiver, edge or wide receiver, and I see so many edge guys go in that like first part of the second round or late part of the first round. I see so many wide receivers go like late first, early second, and it's like if they were just about 15 picks higher, I think they'd have like a bigger selection to go from. And honestly, man, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, just some of the mock drafts, like the Iowa kid, Espinenza, like I think he's really good. He goes a lot of times before the Texans pick. Terrell Lewis is a top of the second round guy. He's like a versatile kind of do-it-all defensive lineman from Alabama. I got to talk with him at the Super Bowl. Super cool dude. He works out in Dallas a lot, so he's like super familiar with Texas. I'd love Terrell Lewis there. They gotta just get bodies that are talented. I think there's gonna be enough wide receivers they could probably wait for 57 for the wide receiver if I'm the Texans. What about Neville Gallimore, the defensive lineman from Oklahoma? He's a tackle. He's not DJ Reader, different guy. But, I mean, why not him? Why not take a shot at a guy like that and just see, can he be a part of the rotation now? And then when some of these veterans age out or get hurt, he's an option there. That's kind of a thought that I had with that first, second round pick for the Texans.
Man, it's just a real toss-up because, like you said, this draft is crazy, crazy important. This draft, because this is the Bill O'Brien draft. There is nobody,
Right.
this is just him. So the whole, all the eyes are going to be on him. So this draft is crazy. I chose, Cody had talked about, I chose Terrell Lewis. Terrell Lewis is going to be an absolute beast. And let's be honest, if he was healthy his first 2 seasons at Alabama, there's a good chance he's a top 10, top 15 pick. He could play off the edge. He's super fast. He's super long. He is somebody that the Houston Texans can get, and Anthony Weaver would just have a field day with Terrell Lewis. CJ?
Oh, all right. So I think this draft is very interesting for every team just on the basis that there's no overthinking it. You're basically just going off film from last year, right? There's no pro days you're really going off of, maybe a little bit of the combine. But I have the same idea as Cody, is that I think we should go defense at 40 and then wait for a receiver at 57. But I went Marlon Davidson out of Auburn. He actually played a lot of 3-4 stand-up outside linebacker for Auburn, and he's way too damn big to be doing that at the next level. So his best transition is on the inside. But, Texans love that versatility. So if we do run 4-3 sets, 3-4 sets, he can move inside, outside. I love the versatility there. He's strong, knows how to use his hands, and you don't have to worry about motor with him. He's going to play every down best as he can. I think that's a great pick. I think D-line's our biggest need, so I love the Marlon Davidson pick there.
To finish off the 40th pick, Mr. Kenneth.
All right. I know CJ and Ruben are going to be surprised at this. I know we want to go defense, But I done did the mock draft today probably like 7 times. Every time this guy has been there, I know who I'm going with, and it's Jonathan Taylor. I'm sorry. This is why I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. Like, we already know the talent, what he can do, but this is why I want to pick Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to tell you this. We have, and if I'm not, I think I'm for sure on this, that Luke Johnson last year is going to be next year, right? His contract is going to be up after this next year coming up, right? And so who knows if we're going to re-sign him? You know, we trying to pay people this year, so he might want more money. So I feel like we should go running back. And if this man is there, of course, because of his talent, we all know he's fast, he's explosive, he hit the hole and he's gone. Like, he's an exciting player. I like Jonathan Taylor. CJ, I know you don't like that, but I'm sorry, man. I don't know. If he's there, I'm so excited to draft him, honestly.
And here's the thing about Jonathan Taylor. Like, not only, I mean, his highlights on YouTube are 11 minutes long, and each one was almost a touchdown. You know, like Cody Stute said, when it was Jonathan Taylor and J.K. Dobbins with Ohio State, they knew he was going to run the ball 60% of the time. They couldn't stop him. With Jonathan Taylor, they were running almost 80% with him, and nobody could stop him. If Jonathan Taylor is there, man, that is just, I don't know. It's going to be crazy because a lot of fans weren't expecting running back. Hey, you just traded for one, but he's special.
I think the tough part with running back, it's twofold. The way O'Brien approaches with running backs is typically he trusts 2 dudes to be the running back. He trusts the starter and the backup, you know, the starter and the change of pace guy, whatever. He trusts 2 guys. Like, primarily it was Carlos, a little bit of Duke Johnson last year. Think back to when Lamar Miller was healthy. It was primarily Lamar and a little bit of Alfred Blue. He only trusts really 2 guys, but I like the think for the future type thing. Like, it's a big picture thing. And plus, is Duke Johnson going to hold up with more carries? Is David Johnson going to hold up from an injury standpoint? And if you only partially use Jonathan Taylor, like, the guy's got a lot of tread on the tire, but can you extend the life of a guy like that by making him from the start sort of a committee back with another guy? I don't hate it. I think fans would be furious. I think they'd be mad, but at the same time, I think there'd be like a little bit of an air of excitement because this guy's like if you're doing like a dynasty fantasy draft where you draft the draft picks only, like, this guy's the number 1 pick unless he just goes to a terrible situation. Like, he's that good, he's that talented. Like, I don't hate it, but I have a hard time loving it as well. Like, there's worse things they could do. Like, you draft an offensive tackle, that wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You know, so like I don't hate the idea because then you're set at running back for the year, so to speak.
And he, like I said, he's just dynamic. Moving on to moving on to our other second round pick, 57. Cody, who do you think the Houston Texans should target?
So this one just it comes down to which of the 3. If you drafted a defensive lineman with the 40th pick, or you draft a defense, you know, there's an edge defender you like there or whatever. The other pick's going to be wide receiver, you would think. You would hope. And it comes down to 3 guys. It comes down to 3 names. It comes down to T. Higgins from Clemson, Michael Pittman Jr. from USC, and Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. It comes down to those 3 guys, and at that point, it's pick your poison. Like, I think there's a lot of things to like about all the guys. I think they're all going to have a similar career. Like, I don't think one of the guys is going to end up being way, way better than the other guys. I went with Pittman just because senior, a lot of the draft stuff that I read about him is like, maybe he's not totally ready to just full load. And like, that's not the role that the guy's going to be in, the rookie's going to be in if you draft a wide receiver, because you would think Stills and Fuller take primarily the snaps outside. So you maybe you're going to work a guy in. Some scouts think he can run from the slot if you want to move him around, things like that. Obviously, that's what Randall Cobb's for. But if Randall Cobb doesn't stay healthy, if Fuller doesn't stay healthy, if Stills, you know, comes out of a game, you know, there's a lot of different things there with. So I went with Pittman. It could have been Higgins. It could have been Ayuk. I don't know. It's just wide receiver to me. The guy's probably not going to be a full-time starter unless there's injuries. But in a year he's going to be a full-time starter because there's so many. I think it's so important. There has to be a wide receiver with one of those two picks. I don't care if it's 40 or 57 because Stills and Fuller are unknowns going forward. Randall Cobb's a slot guy, and then there's nobody else on the roster. There's nobody on the practice squad that you trust to be outside. So one of those picks has to be wide receiver. I went with Pittman, but you go with any of the three.
So in my 57 pick, I also chose the wide receiver, but it was the one he talked about. I talked about Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. Dude has 65, catches for 111 yards with 8 touchdowns, averaging 18 yards a catch, which is crazy. And then the thing that I like that he is versatile. You can put him outside, you can put him in the slot, you can put him on special teams. He's just a Swiss Army knife. Just a very fast guy. Runs a 4.5. He has a little height, 6'1". And he's just a playmaker. Whenever he touched the ball for Arizona, he made things happen. I mean, it's very hard to average 18 yards a catch. He was making guys miss. Linebackers couldn't cover when he was in the slot. And, if they just threw the ball deep and Ayuk will get it. And that is something that the Houston Texans need because, let's be honest, Will Fuller cannot stay healthy to save his life. Kenny Stills has been injured. And, Randall Cobb has been injured as well. So, your core wide receivers for the Houston Texans are injured, and I think Ayuk does a lot of the things that each one of those wide receivers does.
All right, my pick, 57, is actually the same one, Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. Before I get into him real quick, my thoughts on what the Texans are doing at receiver is I think they want to go for this Kansas City, New England Patriots, Los Angeles Rams mold. Just get a bunch of guys quick, shifty, fast in there, get the ball out and let them run, let them do their thing. Brandon Ayuk does that perfectly. He's very good route running. He doesn't have elite speed, but he knows how to separate and get downfield. I love the Brandon Ayuk pick. He also just had surgery on his hamstring, I believe. So that could drop him down right into our lap. So I would love the pick if we got him. And real quick, Cody, do you think KJ Hamler is a guy that could be there at 57?
Yeah, probably. I would think so. I think he's probably there at 57. I think there's going to be a weird group of wide receivers there. Like this feels a little bit like a couple of years ago where you're going to get a smattering of wide receiver. Actually, it feels like last year. We're going to get a smattering of wide receivers right there in the second round, and they're all going to kind of have varying levels of success. I think that's probably the way the second round is going to play out because, I mean, look, I think people look at these teams that have so many guys, they want a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Kenneth.
Yes, sir. So as y'all know, I went running back with the first pick. So the second pick, I got to pick a defensive player. So I'm going with Jordan Elliott, my friend of mine. I know Ruben, he like what's his name? Raekwon Davis.
Raekwon Davis from Alabama.
Yeah, like either or, but I feel like I'm not picking my friend over him because I know him. It's because I feel like his motor, like my friend motor, he like JJ Watt when he came into the league, his motor was just he's going in every play. That's the type of dog he is. So he's 6'5", he's explosive, got great hands, great feet. Like footwork is crazy for a big dude that's 3'15". So yeah, I like for us to draft Jordan Elliott.
And you said he wants to come here too, so
yeah, he'll love to come here. This is his hometown, so hey, he gonna be happy if that happens, of course.
The Michael Pittman pick, it kind of excites me because I think he has the most upside. Like, dude could really be a number one. He does have speed. He has a height, 6'4". Man, if Michael Pittman, if we take him, I could only think about the things that Bill Bryan could do with him.
Quick, just goofy note about Ayuk is incredible wingspan.
Yes.
Has Calvin Johnson's wingspan basically, but he's 4 inches shorter, which is really crazy. Rajon Rondo had the same wingspan as him at the same height in the NBA. It's just one of those incredible, unique physical qualities that so many of these guys have. Like, you're just going to get some physical freaks, and that's real cool. For the Elliott pick, I think anybody who balls in the SEC goes up against really good offensive linemen week after week after week, and has to stand out to get noticed as a defensive lineman. dude fits the bill. And I think there's definitely a need for a guy that can do a little bit of everything on the line. And he kind of feels like that. Like, hey, if we want to bulk him up a little bit, have him kind of be that rush middle of the line guy, or we want to have him just stay where he is and just be a physical freak. Nobody's made a bad pick yet. I'll tell you when you make a bad pick, though, guys. Don't worry.
Oh, well, now all right. So, all right. Going on. Who's your third selection, Mr. Cody Stutes, in this draft?
So it's tough because when you start playing with the draft machines, you start looking at where guys might go and things like that. Guys start fluctuating. So a guy that was always there, it feels like for me, in the third round for the Texans to pick for a long, long time was James Lynch, the defensive lineman from Baylor. But Lynch keeps flying up. Like, I keep seeing his name more and more and more and more. And so it's like, it's really hard to think that he's going to be there in the third. And so you start thinking that, okay, if Lynch in there, and look, I did like the little mock draft machine. I did it 50 times or whatever. And it's like, okay, he stopped being there eventually as draft boards got updated and guys got moved around a little bit. Probably a weird pick. And if anybody knows me real well, I'm going to get the big homer thing tossed at me. Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech. This dude's a dog. He's a dog. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can play, that stand-up pass rusher when for the outside spot when you want to bump some of those rushers down, get a little bit of coverage. Defended big tight ends, defended running backs out of the backfield. Just give me the do-it-all guy, and I'll find a spot for him. The Texans need someone to compete with Brennan Scarlett for his spot on the team. You need a sort of a freak athlete type guy, or like a multifaceted athlete in case you lose some depth here or there via an injury. Give me Brooks. May not be there. Maybe a late fourth round pick. He's got a really weird fluctuation, but I'll go with my Texas Tech guy, Jordan Brooks.
I went with Akeem Davis-Gathers, the linebacker out of Appalachian State. Dude is an absolute freak of nature. He is undersized as a linebacker. He's 6'2", 216 pounds. But so he does need to beef up a little bit, but the man did have 101 total tackles along with 5 sacks, interception. And he does one thing that I think the Houston Texans lack is that, their linebackers, aside from, from Dylan Cole, aside from Zach Cunningham, Bernard McKinney is not good in coverage. And that is something that Akeem Gathers can do. I think quarterbacks had a perfect passer rating against Bernard McKinney. He allowed, I believe, 6 touchdowns. And, and when you're going against, the KCs of the world, the Baltimores of the world, you need a linebacker who is fast, who is physical, and who can play coverage. I think Akeem Gathers will be perfect for the Houston Texans. He solves a lot of problems that we have. So I went with Akeem Davis-Gathers.
All right, but before I talk about mine, I just want to say me and Ruben did not do this on purpose, but I also picked Akeem Davis-Gathers. This dude defines versatility. He played everywhere. He played out on slot guys. He played a lot as a Sam linebacker, which is what Wendy Merciless plays, but he's going to translate to an off-ball linebacker in the NFL. Great in coverage, is undersized like Ruben said, but not afraid to go in and seek contact as well. I think, and like Cody was saying earlier, he honestly, to me, would be a perfect fit to replace Brennan Scarlett at that drop position, the drop linebacker position. I would absolutely love him there. Again, just undersized, and I don't know what else to say there, dude. He's just great in coverage. I think he'd be a great fit for the team. And real quick, Cody, I'm a Baylor fan, so I love the James Lynch pick. But every mock draft on the Draft Network, he's been there in the 5th round, and I take him every time. But he's going way before that. I know he is. Yeah. I love that pick. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Kenneth.
Hey, before Kenneth jumps in, and by the way, Kenneth did his homework because his is more unique than all of ours. But so I'm anxious to see what Kenneth goes with here. But the Appalachian State kid is a good pick. Fits a lot of the checks a lot of the boxes the Texans do. The versatility thing you obviously talked about. Redshirt senior. So he's in college for a long time. The Texans like those older guys. They like seniors and they like guys that have played a lot of football. And so he checks that box. So I did want to get that in there. And now I'm anticipating Kenneth's pick here because he's been fun to watch do this.
Yeah, my next pick is a receiver, of course, and that's Van Jefferson. Great 6'2", great route runner. Like if you go check out his highlights, his route running is crazy. Like we need that on his team. A lot of dudes don't have great route runners. Like Will Fuller, when he came into the league, he wasn't that good at that. You know, he had to work at that. But this guy, I think he can come in and be a great route runner for us. He can. I don't want to say replace D-Hop, but I feel like he'll be a good receiver to kind of like take up for what D-Hop used to do for us, like the 50-50 balls, the great route runners. And D-Hop, he wasn't really a receiver that gets open a lot. Like he got somebody on him, but he just snagging on everybody. But this guy, he gets open and he gets separation. And he has nice speed. So yeah, I think we should take him as the third pick. Well, yeah, the third pick.
Another senior too.
Yeah.
Again, somebody else who I think will be a great pick, you know, just to throw him out there, Marcus Bailey out of Purdue. Marcus Bailey.
That's my fourth one.
My bad. Okay.
No, you good.
I think that dude's an absolute beast, but we'll keep on going. Mr. Cody Stews, you're forced to... Huh?
Since you done spoiled Kenneth, let Kenneth get in here with that fourth round pick.
All right, yeah. The fourth one, Marcus Bailey. He's a nice size linebacker. He's 6'1". He's 240, so he's big and he can move. He had a little injury though last year with his knee, but he just got cleared 3 days ago. I saw the reports on that. He got cleared 3 days ago, so hopefully he's putting in the work. But I think he'll be a good fit for us. You know, he's like I said, he's big. He can move. He very extensive. Like he goes where the ball is at. Like I don't know. Like he got that Tyrann Mathieu type of swag. Like he just know where to be at all times. So yeah.
The nose for the football, man. You got to love those guys that'll just and I wonder too, you got to think about where some of these guys come from. Like on a Jefferson thing, you're probably going to watch Jefferson film. You're going to go watch Bailey film because I don't know how many dudes you're just like taking the time to watch on Florida where you would notice Jefferson. Like so I wonder if evaluators approach those guys with a more fine-tooth comb because they were going in looking at that guy, whereas if you accidentally discover a guy looking at another guy, do you feel like you maybe found I found something, and then maybe they look a little bit differently about that guy. So if you were going to go look at him, you were looking for him, and you probably combed through him with a fine-tooth comb, and you probably feel like you know a lot about him if you're a draft guy. So I like that. All right, so fourth round pick for me, huh?
Yes, sir.
Zach Moss, Utah running back. Dude's a monster. Utah was significantly less scary when Zach Moss was not on the field and not healthy. Probably had he probably had few better moments in his junior year than he did his last year. Played a lot of football. Again, they like the guys that play a lot of football. I like his quickness near the line of scrimmage. I like his ability to fit into tight holes. If the Texans did change to a different coach, a different scheme, I think he'd fit it. I think he fits what O'Brien does. He's a guy that is going to be a hammer, but can also get outside and make you pay. I like him. I think he's one of the best running backs in this draft. He's not Dobbins. He's not Taylor, but he's real close to that rest of that crew. Little concerned that he got dinged up playing the Pac-12. But again, if he's a committee guy, maybe he doesn't get dinged up. So I go Moss. I love that pick. I already know I'm going to draft him in basically every fantasy team I have, wherever he goes. I think the dude's going to be a baller.
So I also had Zach Moss, but I'm going to go with somebody else. A.J. Dillon out of Boston College. The dude is a physical freak, 6 foot, 250 pounds, ran a 4.5. He ran the ball a lot in Boston College, almost 300 times. But, he has the set the speed for a guy who weighs 250. He could run over you. Once he gets to the second level, I'm sorry, no safety is going to tackle A.J. Dillon. Dude is an absolute freak of nature. If the Texans manage to get either Zach Moss or A.J. Dillon, and I think A.J. Dillon fits the mold because, Bill O'Brien is going to run the ball, even if you had the number one rushing defense. He's going to pound the rock, and I think A.J. Dillon will be a good running back for this Houston Texans team.
All right, so for my fourth round pick, I picked a guy who could easily go before this pick, but he was there in my simulator a lot of the time. But Bradley Anae, edge out of Utah. This guy's developmental. He'd be a situational pass rusher at Wendy Merciless's spot, honestly, for the coming up season. Could develop into maybe a starter years down the road. Knocks on him while he's going in the fourth is he's not going to do anything for you in coverage, and he's not good tackler in open space per se. But high motor, just like Davidson. I think O'Brien would love to get him in here as in the fourth round.
And Kenneth already said his, but man, if it's Zach Moss or A.J. Dillon, that's not bad for a fourth round pick. Cody, your final selection in this Texans draft?
So it's tough because I think you go a couple of different ways. Like, if you've drafted a defensive lineman earlier, and you don't have an edge guy yet, do you think about an edge guy here? What do you do? I thought about a contingency plan with this pick, and I don't like to think about it this way. And I know that I know coaches don't approach it this way, but if Lonnie Johnson isn't good or gets hurt, and if the depth at cornerback all of a sudden, flutters away, I want a guy that hopefully by middle of the year he could be ready to play, and would be pretty good. And I think it's going to be fun to watch him play. Hopefully he gets into the AFC and he plays against Lamar Jackson a lot because his name is Lamar Jackson, the cornerback out of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Big guy. I mean, he's basically Lonnie Johnson. 6'2", roughly around the same weight, kind of the same measurables. They want press guys. They're changing, it feels like, to a press type system. They want guys that'll get up there and get nasty. That's him. They don't throw it as much in the Big Ten as, say, the Big 12, even the SEC now, the Pac-12. But you get physical monsters that you have to square up against. A lot of drafts guys, look, they would know better than I do. A lot of draft people say that he could drop down onto a tight end into the slot. He could be a sub package guy right from the jump just because of his size and body. I'm in. Give me Lamar Jackson and then a very goofy, fun Lamar Jackson tackling Lamar Jackson one day.
So I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I went wide receiver again. And with my wide receiver, I know, right? But I chose Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. That dude's an absolute beast. That dude has, maybe potential to be a very good wide receiver. Man, when he found the ball, when they threw it up there, he was able to come with it almost every single time. He was a mismatch, making people miss. Also, the dude was on special teams. I know I chose another wide receiver, but AJG has a chance to be special in this league. I really like AJG.
All right, so for my fifth round pick, I also went cornerback. I went Harrison Hand out of Temple. I haven't watched this guy, but in the fifth round of my simulator, he was the name that popped out to me. I know he's better in zone per se, but he also can play man. They did both over there at Temple. Again, like I said, I haven't watched a whole lot, but he's 6'1", lanky. I think that's a great pick for the fifth round.
So I know a little bit more about Hand because we were supposed to have him as a guest on Radio Row and Super Bowl. So I did a little deep dive on him, read a bunch of stuff about him. Look, if Matt Rule goes out of the way to talk nice about you, probably pretty good football player. I think that plays well with other coaches when a ex-coach has a lot of really nice things to say. Sort of a team leader guy from what I was reading. I like that guy. We're going to be a nice competitor for that late round pick type thing.
To finish it off, Mr. Kenneth.
All right, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about two different people.
Okay.
Because all right, so the first guy, he's the safety from Georgia. His name is J.R. Reed. He's 6'1", he's a ball hawk, you know what I'm saying? And he has that feel for the ball. And he has okay coverage skills, but the dude can hit. Like, honestly, he kind of remind me of Justin Reed. Like, when he can go in that box, and if a running back coming through, he trying to knock his head off. He got that type of dog in him. And the other pick is a dude from Baylor. His name is Ravion Roy. He's and I know I picked, you know what I'm saying, another defensive lineman at the second pick, but you know how we are as we see the Texans, they love to, you know, rotate them big guys in, and you know what I'm saying, we lost DJ Reader, so I think he can definitely replace DJ Reader. He's strong, he can move, he quicker than what people think. Like, and you know what I'm saying, I think he can be a better pass rusher than DJ Reader, honestly. And he had a couple of sacks with Baylor. So, yeah. And he's also 320, so ain't nobody finna just move him around.
So,
I'm sorry, you go.
Well, on the safety, some people would hear safety and they'd be like, well, Reed and Gibson, and then they sign the Murray guy. They like to carry safeties because safeties play a lot of special teams.
Yeah.
And so, big hitters like that typically translate to really nasty special teams players.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think safety is out of the question at all, especially when you think about Reed is an injury risk. Gibson's an injury risk. And if Murray's got to step up, that's a veteran that's been around the block. It's not out of the question that you would have sort of a rookie presence. And I know we think about corners as guys that can be slot guys, but if you can, if you have a guy that is a project, you can sort of start teaching him, in certain moments you can make him a slot guy. Just because he played safety doesn't mean he couldn't play, in a slot situation. And usually big hitters are not afraid to be physical, and that bodes well for slotting up against the tight end, which you'll see in the NFL a bunch.
Real quick, Ruben, can I ask him a question? Cody, I got to ask you a question.
Absolutely.
These guys keep messing with me. If Delpit falls to 40, because I've seen issues with his tackling, would you be opposed to taking him at 40 with safety not being as big as a need as most Texans fans think?
I think that is a pick that would be perfect. If Delpit's there at like 40, I think you get on the phone and see if you can move back like 5 picks and add like a 4th or 5th rounder. I don't see the Texans being interested in a Delpit type guy just because of what you mentioned. Like, think about how many missed tackles they had last year, and for it to be a tackling issue with Delpit, the dude's a phenomenal talent. He strikes me as the type of guy that if he starts to fall, some smart team in the bottom or the first part of the second round jumps up into the first round just so they have that 5th round or that 5th-year option on him. Like, if he falls, he's the perfect 32 overall pick. If he's there at 40, I just think you have too many other needs. Like, I think you want to go luxury picks later. I think you have like legitimate need for guys that can play in a good rotation right away. And so I think it would be tough to see me say to see them go Delpit. But look, if that's the best available talent, if the wide receivers that you love aren't there and there's no edge rushers, look, I'm not opposed to best available talent. That's the tough part, is the Texans feel like they're in a box. And that's unfortunate. Obviously, if they go outside the box, it could get unique. But they feel like they're in a box with got to go wide receiver, got to go edge. Like, I mean, if there's a badass offensive guard there that's going to be the 5th starter for this offensive line, like, go get him. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, but they're in a box with as far as edge and wide receiver in the second round, so it'd be tough to see them getting outside of the box. But best available is the way to go, and if Delpit's there at 40, he's got to be the best available. The guy's a freak.
Yeah. And what do you think about Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma?
Oh no,
I think Murray's a really good football player. I would have a tough time seeing how he plays right away. But I think he's a really good football player. If they drafted Kenneth Murray, the Texans would be sort of telegraphing that Zach Cunningham's not in the future.
Yep.
And I'm not to say that they wouldn't do that. I think Kenneth Murray is really going to be a real good football player. I don't see him ending up on the Texans. Again, really hard to draft that guy who's not going to be even a sometimes starter or a sometimes contributor with that 40th overall pick. Like, I feel like you need a guy that's going to play 50+% of the snaps with that 40th overall pick, even if he's not good because he's a rookie at those snaps. Like, you need a guy that is going to have the snaps available for him to come in and try to play those snaps. And I just don't see that with linebacker, primarily inside linebacker or safety or something like that.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was our mock draft. It was lengthy, but let's be honest, none of us have nothing better to do.
I think Bill O'Brien would like Kenneth's draft the most.
Really?
Even though I don't think Jonathan Taylor fits, like maybe something else at that spot, but I think O'Brien would like Kenneth's draft the most. Just because I feel like Kenneth drafted a lot of guys that fit like that Texans mold. And even, Taylor fits the Texans mold too. Like, let's be clear about like how they've approached running backs before. Like he fits the Texans mold, could play a little special teams if you had to have him play special teams. I think Bill O'Brien would like Kenneth's draft the most, which I think is I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, Kenneth, but we'll find out. We'll find out in a few weeks.
We'll find out.
Can I say something? Because I think I figured out why. CJ don't like what's his name, Kenneth Murray, because he's a Baylor fan.
No,
is that why you don't like Kenneth Murray, bro?
He does exactly what McKinney does. I don't want another guy to do exactly what McKinney does. Patrick Queen is a different story. He can actually cover. I just don't want another run-stuffing guy who arm tackles. I don't want him trying to arm tackle Derrick Henry. He's going to get ran over. That's my point on him.
So I'm so funny you brought up Patrick Queen because he, as you see more and more guys go up draft boards, like obviously every time a guy goes up, someone moves down.
Right. And
it's weird because I've seen Queen sort of get moved down as different names have gone up the draft board. So Queen's a guy that could be there. And again, I think if you draft a Queen, you're saying, hey, Zach Cunningham's not getting paid. Zach Cunningham's, going to play this year, but Zach Cunningham's not going to be a Texan next year. I think that'd be again, a telegraph, which this Texan staff seems to kind of do sometimes. Maybe a telegraph. It wouldn't be a bad telegraph though. I think Queen's really good.
So you wouldn't get rid of BMAC first and then Cunningham?
To say because all the trades
for that, it's the same thing.
The thing with McKinney is I think there's something he brings to the table that is hard to replicate with the linebackers that come out right away. Like I think if you're getting a McKinney replacement, you're drafting him, maybe you're drafting a guy in the 5th or 6th round this year, hoping that in a year or two he's Bernardrick McKinney's replacement, because I don't think you have anybody that you pluck from the draft, put in McKinney's spot, and you can replicate his production the first year. And again, we still feel like they're in try to win now mode. And so it's tough to not see Bernardrick McKinney on this team for the next 2 years if you're in win now mode. Now, should they start thinking about life after Bernardrick McKinney? Absolutely. I think it's a year or two before a guy's ready for McKinney's spot on this team. Whereas if you told me by the end of 2020 season, someone is ready to take Zach Cunningham's spot, like I don't think that's out of the question.
It's a lot of things that we don't know, but guys, this was fun. We're gonna do one again, hopefully, is with Cody. Right before the draft. But as always, guys, go Texans. Y'all have a blessed day. That was fun.